Hi, I'm David Penn, Research Analyst with Finovate. We're here at Finovate Europe 2022 in London, and joining me is Paul Higgins with Mendix. We're going to talk a little bit about the work that Paul does with Mendix, the work that Mendix does in the technology industry, and about low-code development, which is one of the most interesting aspects of technology that's been coming on along. Paul, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Great. So maybe to start off, you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the work you do at Mendix.
Sure. So I joined Mendix recently from Commerzbank, the second largest bank in Germany. And the idea is to help Mendix to be able to do more in the financial services industry and to show banks and financial institutions the power of Mendix and what it can really do. And Mendix is a low-code development platform. It's the leader in the space, recognized by Gartner and Forrester. And what it does is it abstracts the development process into a visual form, which means that if you're used to working with workflows, maybe PowerPoint, something like that, you can quite easily create a workflow which turns into an application.
Very interesting. I think low-code, as I mentioned a little bit at the onset, is one of the most interesting sort of technology developments that's come along. It doesn't really get as much publicity and talk as some of the other things, but it just seems to me that it's a really powerful way to get things developed, to get things, applications moving and so forth. Could you talk a little bit about what brought about the rise of low-code development? Why are we seeing so much of this now?
Right. So low-code and the origin of Mendix, it comes from this break or this difficulty in communication that exists between business and IT traditionally. And so being able to have this common language, this common visual language is really useful, because if you've got a developer who's written something in high code and then they're sitting next to the analyst or the business person, and both of them are looking at the screen, there's only one person that really understands what's on that screen, and that's the developer. And so low-code is a great way to bridge that gap and to improve that communication.
Yeah, it's one of the fascinating things, again, about technology, and I'm always impressed by the way that it really solves a very, very basic but very critical problem. You do have people working on the business side, very important. On the technology side, they've got to be able to communicate, and you need to have some sort of common language that they can do so. And it's fascinating the way that low-code has sort of closed that gap. Could you talk a little bit about how it helps foster innovation in particular? We talk about the rise of digitization, for example. How does low-code help by bridging that gap, make innovation easier to do?
So what it really does is it helps to reduce the barrier to, let's say, produce whatever it is that's in somebody's mind and what they would like to bring to market. So whether that's creating a new portal because of a new business idea, we've had some great success doing that. Building, for example, a crowdfund platform. One of our customers has built on Mendix, or on the other side of things, the native app development as well. So that can be quite a barrier of entry, and it's not that easy to maintain. There's a lot of effort needed because you have to, serve iOS and Android, etc. And Mendix is the leading platform in developing these native applications, and it's it really helps, makes the whole development process much easier.
One of the things that's interesting too, when I think about, again, you've got these two important components of business of the enterprise working together with the business side and the technology side. And low-code seems to do so much in terms of advancing collaboration that it's almost hard to imagine what it was like before you had low-code with these two groups trying to work together. Can you sort of describe just how important and how helpful it's been to be able to have a common language that the business side and the technology side can work together to achieve some of these innovative projects?
Sure. So we see huge success for our customers in the speed that they can produce applications, that they can, bring their solutions into the market or develop them basically for themselves, for their internal business processes. And often with really quite small teams, you see teams of maybe 3 or 6 people, cross-functional. There'll be somebody from the business side, there'll be a developer, etc., maybe an analyst. And they're really able to deliver huge value really, really quickly, and even building quite complex applications, and it's made much easier.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned just a second ago complex applications and the ability to build them with Mendix. Could you talk a little bit more about that? What are some of the things that people using Mendix technology can actually put together?
Sure. So, for example, in the loans origination, side of things. We see a lot of use of Mendix there, and things like customer onboarding as well. So it's quite easy to make a great user experience in Mendix, but also a very powerful process as well, and being able to connect into various systems. So that's one issue that you've got in the banking space, is you often need to connect into multiple systems to actually complete a workflow. Mendix really enables that integration.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff, and I think a lot of the folks here at Finovate are going to appreciate learning more about the things that Mendix can do. Again, about this sort of low-code, almost revolution that's really taking place, that's really helping to bring enterprises together and maybe even make them more agile as well. So very much looking forward to hearing from you and a lot of things that Mendix has to say.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, and thank you very much for joining us today.